YouTube, vinyl community, Beach Boys fans, random people on the internet. My name is Giggens, and we're here for a new episode of Spin It Again, where we take an album that we reviewed previously on the channel and spin it again. This time we're going to be talking about the Beach Boys' Summer in Paradise, an album I covered many moons ago. I think it was one of the first reviews I ever did. And at the time, I was still figuring out how to do reviews, how to talk to a camera, how to convey my message about music, and it's a bit awkward to watch, as is most of the early videos that I've made. And it was just time. And it's been a minute since I've played this thing, and there was a while there where I was playing it often because I intended to make this video a year or two ago. And so there was a moment there where I played this thing nonstop for a few hours straight, which I don't recommend. But going back to it now, with fresh ears again, it's a very interesting experience, and I'm not going to say it's absolute garbage, because there are some great moments on it, but for them to call it the Beach Boys is a bit of a stretch, because the main instrument on this thing is a Macintosh computer, and then Van Dyke Parks shows up to play accordion on a couple of songs. But, I mean, even Carl and Al don't play guitars on this thing. Bruce plays piano on Slow Summer Dancing, or One Summer Night, whatever the hell it's called. And that's it. Beyond that, they show up to do their vocals, and that's the whole thing. And Al wasn't almost even on this thing because of disagreements they were having at the time. So it was almost an Al-less album. An album. Anyways, I'm not going to say it's the worst thing I've ever heard. It's the worst Beach Boys album I've ever heard. It's up there. So let's kind of go into it. I'm not going to go into the whole history of this thing beyond the fact that a couple of facts are that it A, either sold less than 1,000 copies, or B, sold around 145 to 155,000 copies, but a lot of people think that's how many were made and sent to the stores to be sold. The remaining copies of this thing that had not been sold apparently were bundled with the 30 Years box set in 1993 to kind of like get rid of them out of the warehouse. And that was it. It sort of faded into obscurity. It's not on any streaming services. It's never been reissued. It's actually really hard to find this thing now, except on eBay, where prices are going up every day, especially for the vinyl version from Korea, South Korea, which can go from anywhere from $1,000 to $5,000, depending on who's selling it. So finding the CD is pretty darn hard, and you're going to be paying around 50 to 60 bucks for the CD. The cassette tape, I own 2 of these things, and they average around 20 to 30 bucks when you find the cassette tape. It's just a super hard thing to find. And if it actually did sell around 1,000 copies, I've got 2 of these things, so there's 998 more copies left for you guys to own. So it opens up with Hot Fun in the Summertime, the classic Sly and the Family Stone song. And this really isn't too bad, but you're introduced to the Apple Macintosh very early beta version of Pro Tools sound, where this whole thing is overrun by this drum machine. And it's so distracting because that plays the lead instrument, and they'd been messing around with the drum machine for years. I mean, Beach Boys 85 has a lot of that on there with programming stuff, but I guess they were trying to sound contemporary and, ready for radio, but it really dampens the entire feel of the album. Whereas a handful of these songs I think could be great tracks if they went in there with their own instruments and just recorded them as the Beach Boys. I think they could have had a really good EP on their hands here. But anyways, I like Mike's vocal on this one. It's pretty chill. Carl comes in and saves the day every single time. And it's really not bad. It's got that typical cheesy sax solo that's also all over this thing that was, of its time, if you will. This album came out when I was a kid. I never heard of it or knew about it till much later, because when I was a kid, Kokomo was still the biggest thing they ever done. And Kokomo was still more popular than this album. But yeah, Have Fun in the Summertime. There was a single for it. There was a video for it. It was meant to be the promotional tool to get you interested in buying this album. And it's alright. It's really not bad. Then you get a cover of Surfin', the original Beach Boys song. 60s meets the 90s, and it's alright. It's a good little head bopper. I do like that Carl sings a few of the lines, so they kind of interchange between Mike and Carl. Really cheesy sounding guitars, but it's not that bad. I mean, I kind of like the cheesiness of it. It works a little bit. Is it the greatest thing they've ever done? No, but it's kind of fun to hear something like that kind of revamped for the early 90s sound. Summer of Love is the next song on here. And screw it. I like this song. I don't care. I think it's cheesy and stupid and fun, but I like it. And I know a lot of people hate on it because it's very, very... I cannot stress how easy it is to rip on this song. It's goofy, but it's so damn catchy. I mean, that chorus, especially with Mike doing the Bruce's auto-tuned robot voice, girls are always ready. You got that summer you love from Keeping the Summer Alive in the background. And that, yeah, it's a love thing. I mean, is it one of the stupidest things they've ever done? Probably. But damn, if that's not a catchy song. I'll admit, it's got some killer hooks on it. Mike rapping, maybe not the coolest thing in the world, but he's also not trying his hardest. And that kind of works. He's kind of chill with his rap style. So he's kind of doing his own thing. But, I mean, it's got the most punch out of a bunch of the songs in this album, and it's got a really good hook. So maybe with better promotion, it could have been a solid single for its time, but hey now, it's a love thing. Island Fever. This song's actually not too bad. You get Van Dyke Parks on the accordion. It's a light, breezy track. The guys interchange their lead vocals. It's not bad. It's definitely not the greatest thing ever, but in the liner notes, Mike wrote that it's the cousin to Kokomo, which, a bit of a long shot there, but really not bad. Still Surfin', easily one of my least favorite songs on the album. It's super boring, it doesn't go anywhere, it's lifeless, it's got no soul. It's just a plodding along song about a guy who doesn't want to do his job and he's out there still surfing somewhere. I just don't get it. A lot of people like this song, but for me, it does absolutely nothing. And then Slow Summer Dancin', the drum production on this one, it sounds like someone's shooting off a bazooka gun from outer space for the drums. It sounds horrible. I don't know who said, oh yeah, that sounds good. Massive gunshot drum sounds. I do like Al on the chorus, and I do like Bruce taking the lead. So for that, I enjoy that. I think that if the production wasn't total garbage, it would be a much better song. There'd be something there. I think there's a good song there, but the production just, one kick in the mouth after another. Side 2 opens with Strange Things Happen, and this is one of the best songs on the album. I've said it before and I'll say it again. This is definitely top 3 in terms of early 90s Beach Boys songs. I legit love it. I love the changes that the song goes through. I love the guitar work. Well, whatever the guitar might be. That computer's doing a great job. It's mature, but it's catchy. It's got kind of an adult feel to it. And it's one of those songs that kind of makes you think a little bit. So in terms of like a relationship in a nostalgic kind of way. So it kind of hits that mark for you. It's a fun song, and I really like Carl's vocals on it. Al really nailing that chorus. It's definitely one of the best highlights on this album so far. Remember Walking in the Sand, that cover of the old 60s song, very cheesy sax solo. Even Carl has a hard time saving this one. It's one that I really can't get into. And I've heard this album a lot. And this song, just for me, just does absolutely nothing. Lahaina Aloha, I really, really like this one. This is a great track. It stays in your head nonstop. Carl doing that lead is fantastic. Mike doing his bass underneath it. The vocal interplay is great. It's romantic. It's nostalgic. Carl definitely brings the magic on this one. And it's one of those moments where you're like, man, if there were like 10 other songs like this, you'd have a really decent early 90s Beach Boys album on your hands. So that is a fantastic track. Easily one of the best things they've done in the early 90s. Under the Boardwalk, I'll admit, I like this version. I think it's a little chill, it's a little cheesy, but it's kind of fun. Carl and Mike singing together works. Yeah, a computer made this, but nice job. Really not too bad. And I like how they change up the words a little bit. Summer in Paradise, really a great song. I actually legit enjoy this one, and I like that it's had a life of its own after this album. They've played this song on and off fairly regularly live, and I think it's a good track. I mean, it's them singing about ecology, looking out for the earth, taking care of the environment. and that's something that's really important to them and to all of us, as it should be. But the background vocals are great, and it actually sounds like a Beach Boys song, whereas most of this album doesn't have good background vocals, or any in some cases. It's a pretty naked, empty sounding album. And the moments where they do have background vocals, they're very almost half-assed or kind of second thought. I'm like, we should put something back there. This one actually sounds like they spent some time writing a Beach Boys song. So, Summer in Paradise, I'm glad they named it that, and I really do enjoy that song. And if there's one thing to take away from this album, it would be this one. Yeah, they do reference themselves a couple of times. You can get over that soon enough. It's not that bad, but I do enjoy that track a lot. And then Forever, the last song on here, this does have some more really good background vocals from the Beach Boys here, but... And I know it's so common to crap all over this song, but they take one of the most gorgeous, sweet, endearing love letters, and they just drop a massive torrent of violent diarrhea all over it. It's got these awful guitar shrieks, this really stupid guitar solo. Nothing against Uncle Jesse at all. I mean, I think he sings it well enough, but they cheese up this song that doesn't need cheese. I mean, there's so much cheese on this thing, it'll make a can of Cheese Whiz blush. I just cannot get over that. You don't take someone's absolute masterpiece and then just barf all over it and say it's better now. It's one of those, like, how dare you moments, because that's such a special song to Beach Boys fans, you know? And the last thing you do is add edge to it. Like, sod off, man. Like, I don't know whose idea that was, if it was John Stamos' idea or someone in the Beach Boys camp thought, you know what this song needs? A freaking edgy guitar solo because it's 1992. No, you don't do that. I mean, there's a classic Taylor Hawkins quote when he was talking about doing vocals for Holy Man, the unreleased Dennis Wilson song. And he very openly and honestly said, you don't piss on someone's Picasso. And that's such a bloody fantastic line. And that's what they did here, except they had a lot of asparagus before they did that. So the last song on here, Forever, it could have been something very special, and they just absolutely kick itself in the taint over and over again. Oh my god. I'm leaving that in. Screw it. That was funny. Alright, anyways. Summer in Paradise. Yeah, it's been a minute since I've reviewed this. That's... You shouldn't laugh at your own jokes. Oh, God. Alright. Wake up. Learn or perish. Okay. This album for me, it's really hard to call it the Beach Boys because they just showed up to record vocals. Yeah, granted, Mike and Terry wrote a lot of the songs together. That's cool. And I like the idea that they had going into it of making like a quintessential summer album. That's fine. No problem there at all. And you'd think that this would have worked. They were hot off the trail of Kokomo. The Still Cruising album did really well for them. You'd think that the audience would have been super receptive to this, but something happened. I mean, I know the distribution plant closed because of this album, and I know there were a lot of other business things going on in the background. Like, for instance, this is released through Brother Entertainment, which I've never heard of before. It's the only thing I've ever seen that mentions Brother Entertainment instead of Brother Records. And let me show you the inside. I know I did this on the last video, but... So you get a little bit of liner notes with who played what, which is mostly a computer, and the words for Summer in Paradise at the bottom, and then a longer version of the cover. What's interesting, too, is that this is the UK album cover, which I guess is what they just used for the cassette tapes, because the American record had the whale on the cover, and the British ones had these American flag covers. So, I don't know what the choices were for that, but yeah. If I had to give this thing a rating, it's very easy. I cannot stress how easy it is to trash this album. I think the intent behind it was pure. I think their motive behind it was definitely something that they were like, you know what, this feels good for the now, this feels modern, this feels something like, you know, the next generation might enjoy. I think the intent was extremely pure, and the execution is what killed it. And I think also it's a beta version of Pro Tools. Pro Tools wasn't ready yet, so who knows? But I'd have to give this thing probably a 4 or 5 out of 10. I love the effort that's there. I love that they tried sounding modern. And I'd say 3 or 4 songs out of this album are absolute great tracks. Strange Things Happen, Lahaina Aloha, Somewhere in Paradise, and all right, those are the 3. Those 3 songs are really, really good. And then I'd also say Island Fever is all right. Their new version of Surfing isn't bad. Hot Fun in the Summertime is a pretty good song. That one's not too bad either. So like half the album, I'd say if they released it as an EP, would have been a really, really good choice to do something like that. But the thing is, because it sold so poorly and got ripped apart in reviews, they went back and re-recorded a handful of these tracks for the UK version. So the UK version is like a whole different album. So, you know, if you're able to find a copy of that or find it online somewhere, give that a listen, because Roger McGuinn shows up on Somewhere in Paradise. Al and Carl switch parts on a couple different songs. So it's really a whole other album. But with that, I'm going to give this thing a generous 4 out of 10. Definitely one of the weakest things they ever put their name on. And really, I don't think they should have put their name on it, because it's really not a Beach Boys album. And none of them play anything on it besides Bruce. So, I mean, it's not like they all sat together and wrote songs and created this masterpiece together. They just walked into the studio, showed up, put their headphones on, sang some words, and left and got their paycheck. Like, there's really not a lot of Beach Boys-ness on this thing besides the name and the idea and the spirit. So, and then they wouldn't make a new album again until That's Why God Made the Radio, if you count Stars and Stripes in the middle there. But, alright, that's it. My name is Giggens. This has been Spin It Again, the Beach Boys, Somewhere in Paradise. And I guarantee you I'm going to be reviewing this thing again at some point in the next 3 or 4 years, because I feel like this is an album that begs repeated listens, because it's such a head scratcher. For some people, it's like, yeah, it sucks, put it away. But for me, it's like, what's going on? What's inside this thing? So I'm sure I'll do it again. Let me know your thoughts on this album. Tell me what you think. Do you like it? What do you hate about it? The whole 9 yards. But that's it. 4 out of 10, Beach Boys, Somewhere in Paradise. My name is Giggens. Thank you so much for watching. And thank you for having such an open mind. And yeah, we'll talk about it in the comments. But I'll see you guys soon. Take care. Bye.